I say brand new to me, of course. Or I haven't met everyone, or I only know a few people for some time. And so it's been a new experience for me in a way, because I always listen to testimonies from the Perth Fellowship with Sherry, my mother-in-law, and my wife Tara. We get people coming over just like you guys do. And I hear testimonies of people saying that they feel the love of the Lord, and the message is the same and stuff like that. And I guess I've had that experience as well. It's easy in the crowd, you think, oh yeah, cool, and then when it's kind of you, it's a different feeling. And so I just want to say I appreciate all the love of the saints here, although I haven't been able to meet everyone just yet. It's really cool being here, and I've thoroughly enjoyed being in Athens and now Fresno. So yeah, it's an introduction a little bit, I suppose. I was brought up in the ways of the Lord, similar to Tara, whose testimony you'll hear later. And my parents were coming along, and I have I'm Michael's brother, and Emma's not sister, brother. She's my sister. I don't know if you've met Emma or not, but I think she might have been here before. Yeah, confirmed. There you go. I'm sure you've definitely met Michael. I don't know. I forgot to think of much flack that I could put on him right now, but that's all right. Yeah. So we were all coming along, and anyway, Mum and Dad split up, as you may or may not know, when I was 12. Michael's got a few years on me. You can see. And anyway, so long story short, there, like throughout my teenage years and stuff, life was pretty messy, and I don't pretend to be the only one that's had issues. Growing up, we've all got our stuff going on. But I'm thankful that the Lord got me through all of those years with a step family and all the complications that come with that. And I said this when I gave my testimony in Athens. Every time I put a request to the Lord when I felt like I was at my wit's end and I couldn't go much further, He came through. He healed me from depression when I was 15. When I was 10, I got hit by a car on my bike, a truck. There you go. It's a truck in Fresno terms. A truck in Perth is like a semi-trailer. I didn't get hit by that, but I got hit by a large car, and it was a few years ago that I was at university in Perth, and we had this guy come in. We were doing a unit on teaching students with disabilities, and this guy came in. He is a partial quadriplegic. His name is Simon, and he is a partial quadriplegic because he shared his story about how he was riding his bike and got hit by a car, and he went into the side window, back out again, and a few other things. And I, of course, I'm not thankful that he got hurt and I didn't, but given the circumstances, I felt it reminded me of how the Lord protected me in that situation, that I'm able to be here today, and that's because of the Lord. So yeah, there's been a number of things I've had to ask the Lord personally for quite a few things, and I was sharing with someone the other night that I've developed a relationship with God where I feel like it's just me and Him, and like an exclusive relationship, and it's awesome that everyone else can have that as well. Of course, I'm not stealing time away from someone else necessarily. And I'd like to share a bit of a testimony, I suppose. Many of you know that my dad passed away. Some of you probably have met him or come across his ridiculous stories of picking up ducks or geese in America just randomly off in the bush, or I don't know, standing on chairs in different circumstances, or just doing some pretty funny things. But a couple of years ago, I was looking for work, and I wasn't getting anywhere, and I was in a job situation where I'd been offered a contract, and I took it, and I was in a great school in really good environment and really enjoyed my job. And at the end of the year, I was sort of the front runner for the job, along with a couple of other people, but I had the most experience, and my qualifications were suited most, and it caused me a lot of stress, as it would for anyone really. And I got I had a lot of prayer about it, and I felt like I said this the other day when I was sharing my testimony in Athens, I felt like I ticked all the boxes of terms of what I needed to do to get the blessing, which in hindsight I've learned is not the situation, but I'll get to that in a moment. Anyway, everything was lined up, seemed all good, and I didn't get it, and I was pretty upset by that, mostly because I felt I couldn't understand why I wouldn't have got that job in that situation. I couldn't understand it, and that frustrated me. I like to analyse things probably more than I should, and I add things up and I take them away, and I get everything lined up, and at the end of the day I just thought, I can't figure out why I didn't get that job. And anyway, I was pretty cut about it, to say the least, and it really affected me, and I thought, okay, well, I'll just keep going, I suppose, and I'll figure something out. And I was doing, I don't know what they call it here, but it's called relief teaching in Australia. If it's the same thing or not, I'm not sure, but it's, I was teaching when another teacher's sick, I was just teaching their class for them. And I did that for a year, and I was teaching at a few schools, but I was mostly at the same school that I didn't get the job for. Anyway, end of that year, another job came up, and this one was more suited towards me, and I spent that year building a lot of faith, I suppose, and I felt like I'd gotten somewhere, and I built up that foundation again, I guess. I rebuilt a little bit, and I sought a lot of scriptures, I talked to a lot of people, I heard a lot of talks, I listened to a lot of testimonies. I listened to those podcasts that Pastor Ward was talking about, and I felt like I'd gotten to the point where, all right, God, it's time for your will to be in place here, not necessarily mine. And that was the lesson that I learned. I chatted to someone, a Christian, that was telling me that Psalm 127:1 says, unless the Lord builds a house, then the builders labour in vain. And I'd never really heard that scripture before or read it necessarily, or if I had, I'd never really paid attention to it as much as I should have. But that, for me, that was my rock. I thought, unless God wants it to be done, then it won't be done. I don't want to do things in my own strength anymore. So I ticked a lot of boxes, got to a point, okay, God, whatever you want to do is what's going to happen. And I got to the last day of that job, and I'd been told by by the head of department in that area, who I knew quite well, I still know quite well, and I was in a Christian school, I was teaching the subjects, I already knew that, I knew the students, I knew the teachers, I knew the course, I jumped over a lot of hurdles. And the last day he said, you wouldn't believe it, but they've actually internally filled with someone else, and you didn't get the job. And I couldn't understand, I couldn't believe it. Tara and I were pretty upset by it, I suppose. This time I wasn't as affected as the last time, but I sat down, I went home, and I still remember where I was. I got down on my knees and I said, God, I got no idea what I'm meant to do next. I don't know, I can't figure this out. I have absolutely no idea what I'm meant to do. And I really meant that. I wasn't just saying it and I'll just figure it out later. I really felt lost in my career. And Tara and I have been married for a little while, which is awesome, by the way, and it's a blessing of the Lord. And at some stage, if we ever decide to have a family, I felt like that a stable job was kind of a bit of a roadblock in there. It frustrated me, and I even thought, God, you would surely want that to happen, so therefore wouldn't you want me to have a stable job? And I can't remember who the guy is in the Old Testament who was kind of going back and forth with the Lord, but that's what I felt like. I felt like I was having this back and forth conversation and a little bit of a battle. Anyway, I just ended up doing relief teaching again because I was thinking about maybe I should just change career. And then that was at the end of last year, the start of this year. No, it wasn't. That was, at the start of 2018. Apologies. And then 6 months later, in August, and many of you would know that Dad passed away, and that was obviously came out of nowhere. And my testimony of this whole journey that I'm talking about is that maybe a week or two afterwards, actually it was probably about a week afterwards, I had this ultimate revelation from God that I knew was 100% God. And I just thought to myself, maybe these last couple of years of frustration and confusion is because of this moment right now. Maybe God was building my faith just so that I was able to withstand this moment. And maybe that's why I didn't get this job. And the testimony, and then the next thing I thought of was that I just had a real strong feeling that God's going to get me a job now that that's happened. And I know that I was able to withstand that. I was chatting to someone about this yesterday, and they kind of asked me, did you feel angry or frustrated? And I know full well through Tara's testimony that she'll share with you when her dad passed away. She had actually, Sherry was talking about today, that she had those kind of feelings, a bit angry and frustrated, and I didn't feel that at all. I don't know why, but I just felt comfort completely, 100%. I'm okay with that situation from a spiritual point of view. Naturally, it's difficult, but from a spiritual point of view, I feel like Dad gets to rest now. And then the next thing I thought of was that I'm going to get a job. That's it. And then a few months later, I got a job. And I've been in that job now, and just before we left, actually at the airport, I was showing Tara an email from my boss. He made me permanent for next year. In Australia, you have to work 12 months contract before you're allowed to be made permanent as a teacher now. So my testimony really from that is that I'd like to share with everyone here is that you just got no idea sometimes what God's got, where it says that his thoughts are higher than our thoughts. Well, my testimony here from this example it really proves that to me, and I like to share that with other people, because I feel like that's one of the biggest battles that we have in our life, isn't it? That we want to be in control of everything, and I like to be in control of everything. Again, sometimes too much. But if I can let the Lord build the house, then, the plan is perfect. If I believe in his word that it's perfect, well, then his plan must be perfect. It wouldn't be useful for me if some of his promises were true, but then some of them weren't. I don't believe that would be the case. So the whole package is perfect. And I trust God 100% that whatever reason he took Dad away is his plan, and it's a better plan than I have. And I just want to praise the Lord. Amen.